The Johnsky is a YouTube channel run by and run for people over the age of 13. People under the age of 13 should click off of this video right now, or watch with a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't scare me!
Milt's freaking today, Milchman. My name is King Prime. Welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at another brand new Transformers Legacy figure, that being the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Windblade. This is one of the first, actually no, this is the first United figure that I've actually picked up. Probably the only one I'm actually going to. Bumblebee and Optimus do interest me a little bit. Same with Chase, but I, didn't really grow up with those guys. So, I'm just going to Windblade because I'm partial to Windblade. I do like her a lot. But before we take a look at the figure, let's take a look at what she comes in. Of course, we do have the nice picture of her alt mode on the front of the box, as well as her Cyberverse Universe Windblade. Even though it's Cyberverse, this figure can double for, IDW continuity or whatever. It's pretty much the same design. Legacy United trade down at the bottom, as well as Deluxe Class. This is for a logo. Big Transformers logo dump at the side there, as well as the Takara Tomy and Generations trades. Legacy United on the top there. On the side, we have a picture of her face looking very angry with someone, probably Bumblebee, maybe. There is her name in Cybertronian, as well as her bringing her blade up to strike down on someone, Decepticons. On the other side, we have the 40 Years of Transformers sigil, which I've never actually seen before, but it's very nice to see it. I remember the 30th, and now I feel old. As well as the very nice new artwork that has some of the characters that are being released in this wave. Back, we do have the picture of Windblade in vehicle and robot mode, as well as her name again. More than meets the eye, yada yada. Some legal jargon at the bottom, as well as the 40th anniversary and Hasbro logos again. More legal jargon, and that is about it. I say it in every single video, my friends, but you only really care about the packaging if you're a carded or boxed collector, of which I'm not. I'm here to open and review toys, and that is just what I'm going to do. Freeze frame. Freeze frame on freeze, and here is Windblade out of the packaging. But before we take a look at her, let's take a look at what she comes with. She only really has her one accessory, which is her sword. And this is a cool sword. It's not hers. I don't know why it's on fire. Windblade's sword was never on fire in any of the continuities that I can think of. Definitely not in Cyberverse, and I know this is supposed to be the Cyberverse version of the character. Even in that continuity, her sword was just a traditional, katana-like blade. I'm appreciative that it's transparent plastic. I just don't care enough about the sword. I'll probably end up buying a replacement on the third party. It does have sort of a matte black finish on the hilt. As you can see, it is transparent in the center there, and it does kind of have like a rotor as a not a pommel, but like a centerpiece. It kind of looks like her foot, which is strange. Like that's her toe, that's her heel. I can't explain it, but whatever. You know what I'm talking about. She can, of course, hold her sword. You can also store it on her hip like a true samurai would. Just with that, I don't know. It's just a 3mm peg or 2mm peg. I'm not sure. But it can be stored on her hip, like so. Robot mode weapon storage is pretty awesome. So even if she's not wielding it, she can have it stored on her. That's cool enough. But I will, put this to the side because it's not really the best sword we've ever gotten. The Thrilling 30 Windblade sword was so much better. But moving past that, moving on to the figure herself, she's fine, I guess. I can't really describe it, but this is just so totally Cyberverse. I don't know if it's because of just the really flat color palette, the proportions. I'm not sure. It might be because of the proportions. Again, there's the whole debate around the Chug figures that these figures aren't feminine enough. I think that it's a little bit more valid on this figure, but even then, not really. I think this is fine. I don't really think there's cause for massive uproar around any of that kind of stuff.
You can take it to Vegas that King Prime is not a gooner, but, whatever.
Especially since this is the Cyberverse version of the character, not like IDW or anything like that. If it was IDW, maybe there's a case for it, but this is Cyberverse. But moving past that obscenity and looking at the details of the figure herself, you can absolutely tell that this is a Windblade figure, especially with that head sculpt. I love the kind of deep recesses in her face lines. Definitely Cyberverse-esque, and the same matching blue paint that they used for her eyes, the really nice gold paint that they used for her head decoration, and I guess the traditional fan, which is a removable piece. I have never removed it since I put it on, because I don't think you can actually put it anywhere. I might be wrong, but there is some very nice detailing on that itself, even with the number 2 there. I don't know why it's a separate piece, but whatever. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. However, the rest of the figure is really plain. There's some nice sculpted stuff in the deep recesses of her wings, and of course her VTOL takeoff blades are painted, but only on one side for whatever reason. I don't know why. She does have sculpting on her midriff and on her calves, which are picked out in silver. There's also some nice blue details for her knee pads and her wrists. But that is really about it. There's just absolutely no paint on this figure, which is kind of disappointing to see. But like I said, being the Cyberverse version of this character, not like the RID or the IDW versions, I can definitely understand why it's more like that. It's not so much a detriment, but it is very strange, especially having it next to other characters who are painted to the nines. She really does seem hella cartoony, especially with the gaps in her wings and stuff like that. Moving on from all that onto the articulation, she does have a very nice range of motion at the head. And also, before I move on, I just want to point out that her face is actually painted in a pearlescent white paint, kind of like she's a real geisha. It's very cool. It's very subtle and hard to pick up on camera, but it's very nice. I would really like the head sculpt on this, and it's definitely the best part of the paint job, but I digress. Anyway, good range of motion at the head. Get a lot of movement there. She does have a technical full range of motion at the shoulders. It does have a hinge that can go all the way around. However, it is absolutely hindered by the wing there, which totally gets in the way. The wing does have articulation. It can go up and down on this one single hinge there, and it has a little bit of in and out, but it's not nearly enough to get out of the way of the articulation, which sucks. She does have a little bit of shoulder pad articulation just because of the transformation, as well as an upper bicep swivel. She has about a 90-degree elbow bend, maybe even a little bit less, and a rotating wrist, which is nice to see on a deluxe figure. It's kind of rare that we get those. She has a full range of motion at the waist, as well as a pretty great range of motion at the hips there, and mind the angle. So you can get full kicking out, full kicking forward, and even full kicking back. So great leg articulation. She has about a directly 90-degree bend at her knee, as well as an upper thigh swivel, which you can see the peg in there. She has a toe bend because of the transformation, or maybe not because of the transformation. Yeah, because of the transformation. I'm having a moment. As well as an ankle pivot, just a little bit though, nothing super extreme. So overall, not bad articulation. It kind of sucks that you can't get their arms all the way around. I'm a little bit less lenient on that than I am with how I was on Strong Arm, just because you can get the arm all the way around. But speaking of Strong Arm, here Windblade is next to our previous Legacy review, Strong Arm. Here she is next to a little Lego minifigure, such as Luke Skywalker. And here she is next to our old friend, Classics 06, Optimus Prime. As you can see, absolutely towered over by OP. She has Strong Arm by like a centimeter, maybe. And of course, pretty good scale for Luke. Maybe actually a little bit too short. I'm not sure. I guess being a jet, she might need to be taller. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the complexities of scale right now. Let's move on to the transformation so I can show you exactly how Windblade works. Freeze frame.
Hey, Prime! What do you think Megatron's gonna do to Starscream?
He's probably getting fucking ass!
Freeze frame unfreeze. So Windblade has one of the easier transformations that I've shown on this channel. There's really actually nothing to it. You start with the backpack here, split it in half down the center there, and unfold either side of what will become the cockpit I meant, and then bring out the nose cone proper right there. Keep it unfolded as you bring it up, and then fold it around her head, trapping her head in there. Next thing you're going to want to do, just like with pretty much every other figure in the world, rotate it 180 at the hips, and then you can kind of get her arms straight down, fold in or her shoulder pieces, and then you can come to the bottom of the legs. You can fold out the other sides of the stabilizers here, and then fold down her feet like that. As you do that, you can bring up what will become the rudder right there and right there. Either half of that. You can, at this point, tab together the legs and kind of get what is a really long-looking plane together. Rotate down to the other side, and I keep hitting my light with the wing there, which is very fun and I'm sure great on the ears. On the back of her legs, of course, there are these two panels, which are on hinges right there, which is then on another hinge right behind the knee. Fold that all the way out. Fold the other one all the way out. And then you're just going to want to collapse the calves in onto the thighs on these kind of link arms there. Fold them in, and they will just, slide into those two grooves right there. Fold those in all the way. Just make sure that the panels are out of the way as you do that. Eventually it will sit flush, and there will be these two pegs right next to the hands. Plug the hands onto those pegs. As you can see, it might fight you, but once you get it on there, everything will be well. Fold up the panels we just unfolded. As you can see, there's a little hole there. There is a tab on the back of her thigh. Just plug that tab into that hole if you can line it up correctly, which I don't seem to be able to because I have it too far forward, and I'm very smart about that. Push it back. Fold that panel down. That will kind of serve as the rear landing gear for the plane mode. Then you're just going to want to fold in the wings. As you can see, there is a little tiny slot right there. Just put that tab into that slot, and the wings will conform around what was the knee pieces. As you can see, that's perfect. I usually have the silver pieces facing up, which you can just rotate on that hinge there. But it doesn't really need to. It doesn't matter. I might actually pick those out in silver paint so that the black side doesn't keep annoying me. The final step is optional, depending on which mode you want Windblade to be in. I like to fold out the front landing gear all the way down, so you can just set her down and have her balance on that. And that is the transformed vehicle mode for Windblade. This is just a pretty standard VTOL jet. We've seen these kind of fictionalized vehicles for Windblade in the past before. I'm not a super big fan of them. They're very swooshable and light. I do think that the back of the jet is pitiful, especially with these two stabilizers right there. I think that's just the worst. It's gross. But there are, of course, like thrusters in the back there, which if you have blast effect pieces, you can put back there 1 and 2, so you can have the effects pieces in there, which is cool. I like that a lot. Of course, you can rotate the takeoff engines. I just think that it's gross that they didn't put the paint on one side, which is stupid. There is, of course, riveted detail. As you can see, the light is catching it all throughout the fuselage of the vehicle there and onto the wings. Fantastic stuff. And of course, the painted details that were in the robot mode are also carried over to vehicle mode. Clear cockpit, black nose cone, which kind of carries over to the belly of the plane, and then you just see Windblade guts there. So, yeah. Final thing you can do with this is, I guess you can have like a faux afterburner kind of thing by plugging the sword into this peg on the back of her butt. Don't ask. Plug the hilt into that, and you can have weapon storage and sort of like a faux afterburner effect, which is cool. I mean, it's vehicle mode weapon storage. I'm not going to complain about that. But onto the comparisons. Here she is next to our previous Transformers Legacy review. Strong arm. Here she is next to a little Lego minifigure such as Luke Skywalker. And here she is next to our old friend, Classics 06, Optimus Prime. And yeah, that's definitely not in scale. But it's a Transformers jet. I expect it to be like this at this point. The fact that everybody is getting dwarfed by 06 Optimus is just the funniest thing to me. I mean, even now, the plane is getting smoked by the truck, which is a testament to the scale changes over time. But before I ramble about that too long, let's move on to my final thoughts so I can tell you exactly what I think about Windblade. Freeze frame.
Consider this a show of gratitude.
freeze frame unfreeze. So overall, Windblade is just okay in terms of the new age female figures of the main Transformers fandom. I definitely preferred Strong Arm a lot more to Windblade. I think that this figure is just missing a lot of paint. Even though I am aware it's the Cyberverse version, they could have definitely thrown on just a little bit more. It's just rife with red plastic, which is, I mean, you can see through it pretty much in the light. I think the blade is bad. I think the painting is bad, except for the head sculpt, which is great. I am happy that the transformation is simple and there seems to be a good amount of articulation. However, the fact that the wings, as you saw in the review, got in the way multiple times, not my favorite thing. Clever engineering, lack of paint really kills this figure, and I personally wouldn't recommend this figure unless you have a discount, and seeing as this figure is starting to pegworm everywhere that people can walk in, I'm sure that that will not be something out of the question in the near future. That being said, if you are a fan of Windblade, if you are a fan of Transformers Cyberverse, Transformers RID, IDW Comics, Transformers in general, make sure you share this video with your friends, share with Facebook groups, all that good stuff. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Keeps helping the channel grow, keeps helping me pump out this content. That's going to be pretty much it for this time, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching, and as always, peace.
Oh!